When Stan Mikita died in 2018, doctors found something shocking in his brain. The hockey legend, who transformed from one of the sport's most aggressive players into its greatest gentleman, had stage 3 chronic traumatic encephalopathy. His brain donation would change hockey forever. 7 years have passed since we lost this Chicago Blackhawks icon, but the truth behind his death reveals a story far more complex than most fans know. Mikita's journey wasn't just about hockey stats or trophy cases. It was about a man who literally rewired his entire approach to the game and then gave his final gift to science. Born Stanislaus Kvoth in Czechoslovakia in 1940, Mikita arrived in Canada at age 8 to live with his aunt and uncle. Other kids called him a foreigner and picked fights with him constantly. Those early battles taught him to never back down from anyone. That fighting spirit would define his early hockey career in ways that would haunt him decades later. When Mikita joined the Chicago Blackhawks, he earned the nickname the Little Devil. Despite being only 5 feet 9 inches and 165 pounds, he was one of the most feared players in the league. His rookie season saw him rack up 119 penalty minutes in just 67 games. By 1965, that number climbed to 154 minutes. In his own biography, Mikita admitted to using dirty tactics like elbowing, kneeing, and running players from behind. He was aggressive, hot-tempered, and absolutely relentless. But then something incredible happened. His young daughter Meg asked him a simple question that would change everything. She wanted to know why Daddy was always sitting alone in the penalty box. That innocent question hit Mikita like a lightning bolt. He realized his aggression was actually hurting his team instead of helping them. The transformation was immediate and stunning. In the 1966-67 season, Mikita's penalty minutes dropped from 154 to just 12. But here's the amazing part. His production didn't suffer at all. In fact, he became even better. That same season, he accomplished something no player in NHL history had ever done. He won the Hart Trophy as the league's most valuable player, the Art Ross Trophy as the scoring leader, and the Lady Byng Trophy for sportsmanship. Then he did it again the very next year. What do you think about that kind of transformation? Can someone really change their entire personality that dramatically? Drop a comment below and hit subscribe, because Mikita's story gets even more incredible from here. This wasn't just luck or a fluke season. Mikita was genuinely one of the most skilled players who ever lived. He was lightning fast on skates and could handle the puck like it was attached to his stick. He pioneered the curved banana blade stick that made his wrist shot nearly unstoppable. His face-off skills were legendary, and he could play defense just as well as offense. The man was a complete hockey player who proved that skill and intelligence could triumph over pure aggression. Mikita spent his entire 22-year career with the Chicago Blackhawks, which is almost unheard of in professional sports. When he retired, he held franchise records for assists, points, and games played. He helped lead the team to a Stanley Cup championship in 1961. His trophy case was incredible. 4 Art Ross trophies, 2 Hart trophies, 2 Lady Byng trophies, and 8 All-Star selections. The Hockey Hall of Fame inducted him in 1983, cementing his place among the greatest players ever. But Mikita's legacy extends far beyond hockey statistics and individual achievements. He was deeply involved in charitable work throughout his life, showing the same compassion off the ice that he displayed during his transformation as a player. He was instrumental in bringing the Special Olympics to Chicago, working tirelessly to create opportunities for athletes with disabilities. Along with his uncle, he co-founded the American Hearing Impaired Hockey Association, giving deaf and hard of hearing players a chance to compete at high levels. The same empathy that led him to change his playing style after his daughter's question also drove him to help others throughout his community. He understood what it felt like to be different, to struggle for acceptance, and he used his platform to lift up people who faced similar challenges. This wasn't just about writing checks or showing up for photo opportunities. Mikita was genuinely invested in making a difference in people's lives. Unfortunately, those early years of aggressive play had consequences that wouldn't become clear until much later in his life. The repeated hits, the fights, the collisions that seemed routine during his playing days were actually causing damage that accumulates over time. In 2014, Mikita's family began to notice troubling changes. He would lose his train of thought in the middle of sentences. He would forget common words and become noticeably quieter in social settings. The man who had been so sharp and articulate was slowly fading away. His wife Jill described how his cognitive abilities seemed to disappear almost overnight in late 2014. His functions just vanished, she said, marking the absolute end of the man they knew and loved. By 2015, doctors suspected he had Lewy body dementia, a progressive disease that impacts thinking, movement, mood, and behavior. This devastating condition had stripped away his memories of everything, including his legendary hockey career. The family made the incredibly brave decision to go public with his diagnosis in January 2015. They announced that Stan was suffering from suspected Lewy body dementia and that the disease had robbed him of his memories. They wanted other families dealing with similar struggles to know they weren't alone. The response was overwhelming. People from all over reached out to share their own experiences with loved ones facing dementia. By this point, Mikita had no memory of his former life and required constant care around the clock. His wife's words were absolutely heartbreaking. "The Stan we knew is gone, completely gone. Imagine watching someone you love disappear while their body remains." The public sharing of this painful journey wasn't easy, but it transformed his personal struggle into something that could help others cope with similar situations. Even in his declining state, with his memories fading and his mind betraying him, Mikita made one final decision that would define his lasting legacy. He chose to donate his brain to the UNITE Brain Bank in Boston for medical research. He visited the researchers while he could still understand what he was agreeing to, making the explicit decision to help future players and advance our understanding of brain injuries in hockey. He knew this wouldn't help him personally. By the time researchers could study his brain, he would be gone. But he wanted the information to help others avoid the same fate. It was the ultimate act of selflessness from a man who had already given so much to the game and to his community. This decision embodied everything he had become since that conversation with his daughter years earlier. When Mikita passed away in August 2018 at the age of 78, researchers at Boston University began their careful study of his brain tissue. What they found in September 2019 was groundbreaking and heartbreaking at the same time. He had stage 3 chronic traumatic encephalopathy, making him the first Hockey Hall of Famer ever diagnosed with CTE. The diagnosis also revealed Lewy body disease, creating a devastating combination that explained his cognitive decline. Dr. Ann McKee, a leading CTE expert, confirmed that both his diseases were associated with long careers in contact sports, like hockey. This wasn't just about enforcers or fighters who dropped gloves every night. This was a superstar, a gentleman, a player known more for skill than violence in his later career. His diagnosis elevated the conversation about player safety to an entirely new level and forced the hockey world to confront uncomfortable truths. Mikita's brain donation has become a catalyst for change in hockey. His case provides compelling evidence that repeated head impacts, even in non-fighting roles, can lead to devastating long-term consequences. The NHL has been slower than other leagues to address brain injury issues, but cases like Mikita's are impossible to ignore. Scientists and advocates hope his pledge will spark more interest in hockey research and inspire greater participation in brain donation from the athletic community. The tragedy is obvious, but there's also something beautiful about Mikita's final gift. He transformed himself from the little devil into a gentleman during his playing career. Then he transformed his personal suffering into a public service after his death. His brain donation continues to help researchers understand CTE and potentially save future athletes from the same fate. Stan Mikita's story forces us to reconsider what it means to be a hockey great. His early aggression may have contributed to his tragic decline, but his willingness to change, to grow, and to help others defines his true legacy. He proved that people can fundamentally transform themselves and that even in death, we can continue to make a difference. 7 years after his passing, Mikita's final gift keeps giving back to the sport he loved. Every study that uses data from his brain donation brings us closer to understanding how to protect future players. His legacy isn't just the Stanley Cup he won or the records he set, it's the profound and lasting impact of choosing compassion over aggression, growth over stubbornness, and service over self-interest.